Ayush, a 16-year-old boy, forgot everything in his passion to fulfill his dream. His dream was to become successful on YouTube. But the path he treaded to fulfill this dream, only darkness and fear awaited him there. When Ayush was in the 7th grade, his parents bought him a smartphone for convenience while going to school. From here, his life took a new turn. He saw an app called YouTube on the phone and started using it. Gradually, YouTube became his habit. By the time he reached the 8th grade, Ayush decided that he would become a successful YouTuber. He shared this dream with his parents, but they refused, considering it an obstacle in his studies. But Ayush's stubbornness and addiction to YouTube could not stop him. Ayush left his studies and completely devoted himself to making videos on YouTube. He worked hard for 4 years, but did not get any success. Neither did his channel get views, nor did the subscribers increase. His friends made fun of him, and relatives taunted him. Ayush was breaking down from within, but was not ready to give up. One day, Ayush found a mysterious video on the internet. It said that anyone can fulfill their wishes through black powers. Ayush's mind was shaken. He thought, if I cannot succeed by hard work, then maybe this method can help me. At night, he sat quietly in his room and started watching videos related to black powers. He came to know about a tantric Suraj Baba who used to perform special rituals to bring success. One night, without telling anyone, Ayush went to meet Suraj Baba in a deserted forest. Baba's hangout was in a dilapidated mansion. As soon as he reached there, Ayush started hearing strange sounds. There were piles of human bones all around the mansion. Suraj Baba looked at Ayush with red eyes and said, "If you want success, you will have to pay a price of your soul." Ayush asked fearfully, "What price?" Suraj Baba laughed and said, "You have to sacrifice an innocent creature every Amavasya. In return, your YouTube channel will be showered with success." Ayush thought for a moment, but the passion for success overpowered his fear. He agreed to the conditions of the ritual. After the first sacrifice, the views and subscribers on Ayush's YouTube channel started increasing rapidly. Everyone started praising him. But as success came, strange things started happening around Ayush. He would hear strange voices at night. Whenever he looked in the mirror, his shadow would keep staring at him. The more subscribers the channel gained, the more terrifying shadows started hovering in his dreams. While Ayush was editing his new video, suddenly Suraj Baba's face appeared on the screen. He was laughing loudly and saying, "Now your soul is mine. Your time of success is over." Ayush stepped back in fear. Just then, the lights in the room started blinking, and dark shadows started hovering around him. Suddenly, Ayush's shadow came out of his screen and grabbed him. The next day, Ayush's parents saw that his room was empty. There was no trace of Ayush except his computer screen, which was constantly flashing. There was only one message written on the screen: "Dreams, when they are connected to darkness, then their end is always horrifying." Ayush's YouTube channel disappeared overnight. Villagers say that anyone who goes near that mansion is silenced forever. 6 months had passed since Ayush's mysterious disappearance. His parents and villagers were still hoping for his return. But no one knew that Ayush had not just disappeared. He had now become part of the darkness he had chosen. Strange events began to occur in Ayush's house after his disappearance. Every night, sounds of soft laughter and footsteps could be heard from his room. Sometimes, the computer screen would turn on by itself and play old videos. Ayush's younger sister, Shreya, who was very close to him, was terrified by these events. One night, when Shreya was alone in the room, she noticed something strange on the computer screen. Ayush's face appeared on the screen, but his eyes were completely black. He said in a soft voice, "Shreya, save me. I have now become part of this darkness." Shreya couldn't believe it. She immediately called her parents, but when they came into the room, the screen was off. A few days later, another scary incident happened in the village. Strange screams and cries were heard from the mansion where Suraj Baba lived. People claimed that they saw Suraj Baba roaming around the outskirts of the village at night, holding a human skull in his hand. The village elders told that Suraj Baba's powers had become even more dangerous now. He was trying to completely control Ayush's soul to increase his power. Shreya was convinced that if she had to save her brother, she had to go to Suraj Baba's base. She reached the dangerous mansion with her friend Armaan. The mansion was like a maze from inside. Strange and terrifying paintings were drawn in every corner. As the two of them went inside, the walls of the mansion began to shrink around them by themselves. Suddenly, a door opened, and Ayush's scary shadow came out from there. His face was distorted, and his voice was deep and terrifying. "You should not have come here, Shreya. Now you too will become a part of this darkness." Suraj Baba appeared there and started laughing loudly. He said, "Ayush is my greatest creation. Now he belongs only to me, but your soul can also increase my power." Suraj Baba recited a tantric mantra, and all the doors of the mansion closed. Black shadows began to emerge from the walls and surround Shreya and Armaan. The shadows were screaming and screaming, as if countless souls were in pain. Shreya saw that Ayush's soul was now completely immersed in darkness. She remembered the prayers her mother had taught her and began to recite the mantra of Goddess Durga loudly. Hearing the sound of the mantra, the black shadows began to retreat. But then, Suraj Baba used all his power. A big puddle of blood emerged from the floor of the mansion, and a huge demon emerged from it. Suraj Baba said, "Now no one can save you." Shreya did not give up. She looked at her brother and said, "Ayush, you chose the wrong path, but I will bring you back." Ayush's shadow began to tremble. His eyes glowed for a moment. He said, "Shreya, I don't have much time. Finish all this. Finish Suraj Baba, or else you will be trapped like me." Shreya gathered all her courage and picked up a trident that was kept on a wall. She attacked Suraj Baba. Suraj Baba tried to stop her, but the trident pierced Suraj Baba's chest. He turned into black smoke, screaming. As soon as Suraj Baba was finished, all the walls of the mansion began to break. The souls trapped inside the mansion were freed one by one. Ayush's soul looked at Shreya and said, "Now I am free. But I will have to pay the price for my mistake. You go out, Shreya. Leave the mansion." Shreya cried and said, "No, Ayush, I will not leave you." But the mansion began to collapse. Armaan pulled Shreya out. As soon as they got out, the mansion collapsed completely. The next morning, Shreya saw her brother's computer. A new video had been uploaded in it. The video had Ayush's face. He said, "I am still with you, Shreya. But the darkness is not forever. This is just the beginning." The video suddenly stopped. When Shreya looked at the screen, there was just one word written: "Welcome to the dark side." After the fall of the mansion and the end of Suraj Baba, there was peace in the village for some time. But this peace was false. Shreya and Armaan did not know that they had opened a door that was now impossible to close. The forces of darkness had become more powerful, and their next target was not just Shreya, but the entire village. Shreya and Armaan thought that everything was over, but the black smoke rising from the ruins of the mansion slowly spread throughout the village. People started falling sick, animals started dying suddenly, and strange noises were heard at night. One night, Shreya saw Ayush's computer screen suddenly glowing. A message appeared on the screen written in blood. "You did not defeat the darkness. You made it more powerful. Now you will all be finished." The villagers started living in fear. Every night there was a new disaster. Sometimes someone's child would disappear. Sometimes the water in the well would turn into blood. Sometimes shadows with terrifying faces would emerge from their feet. Shreya realized that all this was the result of the power she had awakened. One night, Shreya and Armaan found out, while going through the pages of old books in the village, that Suraj Baba was not alone. He was part of a bigger plan. There was another power behind him, called Mahakalin Chaya. This power would awaken every 100 years and eat up the souls of its marked people. And this time, its target was Shreya. One night, Shreya heard Ayush's voice in her room. It was slow and broken. "Shreya, I made a mistake. But now you are also on his list. He will come to you. Stop me, or else this darkness will swallow everyone." Shreya asked tremblingly, "Who? Who will come?" Ayush's shadow came out of the computer screen and said, "Mahakalin Chaya, who takes every soul under his control. There is only one way to stop him, by destroying his main temple. Shreya and Armaan decided that they must reach the temple, which was located in a dense forest 50 kilometers away from the village. This temple was known as the Kaali Chaya Mandir. The path was dangerous and scary. As they went inside the forest, at every step they felt as if someone was watching them. The branches of the trees started looking like human hands. Shadows crawling on the ground tried to grab them. Strange whispers started echoing in the air. The Kaali Chaya Mandir was a huge and scary place. Blood-covered faces were embossed on the walls of the temple. Inside was a huge statue, which seemed to be made entirely of black smoke. As soon as Shreya and Armaan entered the temple, the doors closed by themselves. The eyes of the statue glowed, and a deep voice resounded. "You should not have come here. Now your soul will also be mine." Thousands of shadows started coming out from inside the temple. They surrounded Shreya and Armaan. They were laughing, screaming, and trying to scare her from every direction. Shreya remembered Ayush's instructions. She had to destroy a black stone placed in the center of the temple. But the stone was inside a deep pit, from which a fierce black light was emanating. Shreya gathered courage and moved towards the pit. Armaan tried to fight with the shadows, but they started to surround him. Shreya reached the black stone and picked it up. But then, the idol in the temple came alive. It turned into a huge demon, with fire coming out of its eyes and black shadows coming out of its hands. The demon screamed angrily, "If you break this stone, this darkness will spread throughout the world." Shreya did not know what to do. Then Ayush's voice echoed in her ears. "Shreya, break the stone. But remember, you will have to sacrifice your soul." Shreya thought for a moment. There were tears in her eyes, but she decided to sacrifice herself to save her brother and the village. She broke the stone. As the stone broke, the temple started shaking. The demons and shadows disappeared screaming. The temple started collapsing. Armaan tried to save Shreya, but she was enveloped in black smoke and disappeared. The next day, everything seemed normal in the village, but Shreya never returned. Armaan turned on the computer, and there was a video uploaded in it. In it, Shreya said, "I saved you. But the darkness is not completely gone. It will return again every 100 years. And when it returns, someone will remember me." After Shreya's sacrifice, peace returned to the village for some time. But this peace was the calm before the storm that was about to engulf every soul. Shreya's sacrifice stopped the Mahakalin Chaya, but a curse hidden in its roots had now awakened. The people of the village slowly started forgetting Shreya's sacrifice. But Armaan couldn't forget. Every night he sat in front of the same computer from where Shreya had uploaded the last video. One day, Armaan saw a strange message on the computer. "You didn't stop the darkness. You made it more powerful. Infinity has now awakened." Armaan couldn't understand what it was, but soon he was to know. The people of the village started living in fear again. Every night the doors in the houses of the village opened by themselves. Strange figures began to emerge from the blood on the walls. The children heard Shreya's screams in their dreams. The strangest thing was that everyone in the village started fearing their own shadows. Their shadows began to act strangely, as if they themselves were alive. One night, Armaan saw a huge black door in his dream. Written on that door in big letters was, "The door to infinity." In the dream, he went inside the door and saw an immense force of darkness waiting for him there. The power began to speak. "Your sister has awakened me. Now I will absorb every soul within me. No one will be able to escape it." Armaan woke up. He was drenched in sweat. He realized that it was not just a dream, but a warning. Armaan talked to the village elders about this. They told him that Anant was the source of the Great Shadow. It was a power that could destroy time, souls, and life. To defeat it, an ancient yajna would have to be performed. But to perform this yajna, one would have to reach the gate of Anant. And the biggest danger, the one who performs that yajna will have to hand over his soul to Anant. Armaan started a journey with some youth of the village towards the gate of Anant. This gate was at the foot of a mountain, 70 kilometers away from the village. On the way, they began to encounter strange phenomena. The branches of the trees began to wrap around them like a net. Their shadows began to change shape. Strange whispers and screams began to echo in the air. One of the young men suddenly disappeared. The rest were scared, but Armaan did not lose courage. Finally, they reached the Gate of Infinity. It was a huge black stone door with strange light wrapped around it. As soon as they reached the door, another of the young men suddenly disappeared into the darkness. Armaan tried to open the door, but then the door opened by itself. Inside was a deep cave, which was full of darkness. In the middle of the cave was a huge statue, which seemed to be made of black smoke. Inside the cave, Armaan started the yajna. He started chanting mantras, but with each mantra, terrifying sounds started echoing in the cave. Shadows started dancing around them. Creatures with strange faces started coming out of the walls of the cave. The idol started speaking. "Your efforts are useless. You cannot stop me." Armaan continued the yajna despite fear. Then the idol came alive, and a storm of black smoke spread around the cave. In the last stage of the yajna, Armaan had to sacrifice his soul. He closed his eyes and surrendered himself to Anant. But as soon as he did this, something strange happened. The cave started trembling. The idol started screaming, and light spread all around. But then, Armaan's shadow changed shape. That shadow turned into a demon and said, "You did not save me from Anant. You made me Anant. Now I will end you." Armaan and his companions never returned to the village. But the people of the village saw that the shadows around them started coming alive again. Now, every night, people hear screams and laughter echoing from the cave. And whoever goes near that cave never comes back.